in RIP mommy and daddy, which sent a deep chill down my back. Since my cousin was now asleep, I plugged in my earbuds so she could sleep without having to hear anything. Normally an episode of Max and Amp, Ruby would have 3 short stories, but this episode only had 1. It started off quite light-hearted. Max and Ruby were playing tag in the garden, and their parents were on the porch watching them play. However, something was off. The sound was playing in reverse, and the parents' faces were that of sadness. It panned to the mother and father, and in a voice of deep sorrow, the father spoke. "It's such a shame," he sighed. It then cut short to the sound of static and a loud scream, followed by the sound of 2 people choking. The sounds felt so real, it made me almost physically sick. The scene then switched to Max and Ruby standing in front of what looked like a gravestone labeled RIP mommy and daddy. The 2 of them had no faces. At this point, there was also no sound, apart from faint static. This scene remained on screen for about a minute and a half, before it cut away into black. It then changed scene again, now showing Max and Ruby sitting in Ruby's room. Both of them were sobbing. The sobs were so mourning. What happened next was probably the most disgusting, yet saddest thing I have ever witnessed. The scene had changed to Max sitting in his room. He was standing on a chair with a noose hanging from the ceiling. He had brought it around his neck. The scene faded to black and the static got louder. Almost instantly, it then cut to Ruby walking in on her brother. She let out a gut-twisting scream. The camera was panned on her face as the sound of the chair being kicked and the same choking from before began to play. The picture of Ruby's face stayed on screen for a good 5 minutes. This time, her eyes had returned as the same gaping holes. Ruby then started crying, and as before, there were no other facial features. The static slowly grew louder and drowned out the sound of her standing, now on her own, in the garden by 2 gravestones. One was labeled RIP mommy and daddy, and the other RIP brother. At this point, I had already been sick and was sitting all shaken. The episode seemed to have come to an end at last, as the Max and Ruby theme song played slowly in reverse. I was about to eject the DVD when the same image came up like it did on the TV. This time, however, there was text above the 2 rabbits that said, "Death is our only release." There were no credits or anything else. It stayed on this for a few seconds before the DVD finally popped out of my laptop. I sat there to break the DVD up as much as I could before leaving the house. Afterwards, I shoved the pieces down the drain. Thankfully, I kept a few screenshots and saved them to my laptop. The next couple of days went past without anything unusual happening. I had a few with the rest of the family. The final shot at the end of the DVD. It was a late night, and my parents had gone out for dinner, leaving me to watch TV. I heard what sounded like. I hadn't told anyone about it. However, it all came flooding back when I looked down at the letter in front of me. It was just messily folded up and it read, "Death is our only release."
Iver Runeshamn.